this queued up. All right, who just joined us? And I think I can share it.
What up, Sad? It's Eric, man.
What's going on, my brother?
I can't call it.
You in Chicago?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you, man, taking time. And if you got to jump off, man, I'm glad you got on, but we definitely want to get your voice on here.
Okay, anyway, I can help, man. All my work at the forefront of the city anyway with the with the consent decree, police accountability. So I'm really just trying to lift all us up together, man. For real, we got to grow together.
You on the text, you saw the different cities, so I know you got relationships in those other cities, and see that's a big part of this whole thing, man, is how we strategically and collectively navigate and support each other. So I'm that's gonna be kind of what we're gonna be hitting on as we go through this today.
Okay.
Yeah. What about your ties in Africa?
No, I have well, Communities United. We actually have somebody from Communities United over there right now.
Mm-hmm. You know what country? Uh-oh, Eric, you might have went on mute. I can't hear you. Yep, you're on mute. All right, let's do this. So what I want to do now, I want to stream this on Facebook. All right. Yeah, Eric, what country in Africa your people in right now?
I don't even know because I just got the text. I had a call come in, so I missed like 90% of whatever you were saying.
No, I was asking. Just I know you said you got people over there, so I wanted to know which country that your people was in over there.
No, I don't. I work for Communities United, and one of our directors went that way, but I never got into the conversation of where she's visited,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a light conversation. So
Right.
I didn't feed into it, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, 60628, we have Roseland 60628 linked to South Africa, and we do Pennies to Africa. So we just finished our Pennies to Africa walk, and 60628 is, they're pretty good at helping us to put money into South Africa. Pennies, it's pennies, so that way there's no conflict with the money we put into our own children inside the zip code,
When you say 606, because I stay inside the 60628.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. So any pennies you give to Governor Charles, it'll go to support this sister right here. I got a picture of her here in South Africa. Let me post it right quick. So every Black zip code is linked to one country over there in the continent, and our pennies go to support what they need over there. So here she is right here at the bottom of the screen. Oh, it's cut off. I can't even bring it up. Yeah, but that's her right underneath the South Africa. So yeah, so the ultimate goal with that, because it's like Broken Wings, our kids over there in Kenya and South Africa, they need to hear from you. So as we build this thing out, it's literally going to be us commuting back and forth to the continent, like the other kids go back and forth to Europe. So we want to get these relationships going, and that's why we do the Pennies to Africa, because it really, like we sent $25, that was $10,000 in Sierra Leone money. So it has impact when it touched down over there.
Yeah, I mean, how would I go about one pushing it, and who you say you get a pennies to?
Yeah, so in your zip code on 100, right there on the hundreds and King Drive is Governor Charles Roberts. He should be on this call too. So he's the leader that I talk to for anything in the zip code. So like anything you got going on that needs support, he'll be the one leading it, and then he'll let me know if we need to get help from outside the zip code over there too. So he's the main person you would drop your pennies off to. Y'all will collaborate anything that's going on and so forth. So that's the single point of contact on our end.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, the other piece to that too is because I know you in other zip codes. So like in Inglewood 60621, that zip code is linked to Sudan in Africa. So if you got people over there, that's where those pennies would go to support Sudan. So it's just like the city of Chicago got the sister city, we got the black version of that, which is us taking care of our own people over there.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So let me see what's going on, because I was expecting to get Charles on here. But let me do this. Let me post the agenda up so you can see exactly what we're gonna be hitting on. Yep. So here we go. Now you a father, Eric?
Yeah.
Well, you know this your weekend, man. So salute to you, my brother. Happy Father's Day to you. How many children you got?
Well, biologically, I only have one, but sure, every relationship I ever been in, man, I always, if I'm with her, I'm with them kids. So.
Yeah. That's and on our senior call yesterday, we talked about the important, how valuable our men are, and we don't hear that enough. But definitely want to salute our brothers who still in the lives of the young people, our children.
Yeah, my baby, he got a big brother, so I'm in both their lives. So them two, Eric is 7 and Jaleel is 11. But for the most part, they with me.
Now, so the 7-year-old, he's going to first grade or second grade this year?
He's going to second.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
And I'm trying to find a better school to send him to, because man, his mom had got into it. I had him over in the school out here, and she moved him over there by her, and that school is one of the schools that is straight school of prison pipelines. School of prison. Don't challenge the kid at all. Gave him all A's and B's, and he's way behind now.
Now this the 7-year-old, or this the 11-year-old?
Both of them are behind now, because of the academics at that school. The school is way 3 floors, 3 buildings, grammar school, 40 students.
Let me pause this. I want to show you something because of what you just said, man. And we'll talk offline on this piece here. But look at this right here. We go to second and third grade because of what you just said.
Prison.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
So the bottom line, the way we see it, man, we got to have a university for every grade. So this second grade university, third grade university. And the key is to get these business people, these professionals, to finance each one of these grades. So like the firefighters, hey, what can we do? We want you to put money behind second grade university so we can have the fourth graders come and tutor them and help them catch up to speed. So the fourth graders will help the third graders. So each one really teach one. And as long as it's inside our zip codes, then that means we got people guaranteed that can make it work, So I just made a note of what you just said, 7th and 11th years old, second and third grade. So I'm gonna get with you later.
Yeah, second. He going to second, and Jaleel will be going to 6.
What? 11 years old?
11, yeah. So you go to 6, then you graduate at 13.
Oh, yeah. What am I thinking? So let's go down. Here goes 6th grade here. So all our Army veterans, all our administrators, computer programmers. Like we got what's his name, Pierre Clark. He's a computer programmer. So those are people who are poor into, you know, to live, because he's in he's going to sixth grade. But this the concept, man, all over. We gotta take education in our own hands for the youngsters and not rely on these schools, because we know they set up for the pipeline. So that's why we're saying to the business owners, we need your help.
Okay.
Yep, so that's the big picture. I email that to you, so you'll have that.
Yeah. If you got a line on a good school, I'm thinking about sending them some type of STEM school, something affordable. Cause that's another thing to keep us down too. We don't have the finance to really help.
Yeah.
I ain't there yet, but I'm gonna figure something out. Cause my dad did it for me. I went to Catholic school, man. You know, and it did make a difference. It made a big difference for me in grammar school, going into high school.
And look at that right there. So you see that right there? So this the piece here where the Black business is putting the money up, because even if they don't get into a better school, what do we backfilling them up with to make sure that they getting the extra help that they need? And so these is by the grades here. So your boy that's in sixth grade, you see it down at sixth graders, we got them where we want the businesses to put up $300 to $400 for them for any after school program or summer program. And then the one going to second grade, that's 100 to 175. So when we talk to these business owners, this the conversation is, let's make sure in your zip code, the second grade is a cover. You know, so everything is by zip code.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, brother Nathan? You might be on mute. We can't hear you. Let me see. He's on mute. Oh, you ain't even activate your mic yet, Nathan. Let me send you a request to activate your mic. All right. All right. Yeah, Nathan, we can't hear you yet. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. So Nathan, can you activate your mic? I see the camera, but we still can't hear you yet. Yeah, I can't hear still. So if we can't get the mic up, because we are on, we're recording it, so I'm gonna go through the agenda, and then hopefully you'll be able to get the mic up before we get into it.
He should probably log off and come back in. Log off, come back in, then hit the mic at the top.
You hear that, brother Nathan? There we go.
All right.
Wait, no, can we mic check, Nathan? I still can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
I heard him. He said, "There we go."
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go. All right, good.
I'm an old timer, man. You know, you got to give me a minute with this stuff.
Hey, happy Father's Day to you. This brother Eric here, I already saluted him on being a pops for this 2023. Yeah. So let me put.
Happy Father's Day weekend to all the brothers out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And,
So
and
I want to.
Juneteenth, man.
Oh, go ahead, Eric.
I said, and Juneteenth.
Yep. We
And
got that.
Juneteenth, yeah, and Juneteenth, especially Juneteenth.
So this the purpose of us gathering here, you guys. We have every year we've been pushing this concept of getting the Black men together and just making sure that we kind of talk about the direction where we headed. And our 20 zip codes is tied to 20 different cities. And so that's kind of the idea, is to get all these 20 city Black men together once a year and do this. And as funding comes online, we'll be able to really do the physical in person. But right now, the Zoom is the cheapest, easiest way. And so last year, when we had this conversation, everyone decided what topics we was going to focus on for each region. So like the Gary, Chicago, Atlanta region is the one where we're at. And so the conversation was about Black men and being safe at night, Black men and being in abusive relationships, Black men and more administrative work, and then Black men and attention to detail. So the one that came out of that was voted on was Black men and being in abusive relationships. And so that's what I was hoping to get out of us, y'all thoughts on that. And then the other regions where you see those other topics and subjects at, those cities, Black men would tackle those issues and have that conversation. And then of course, if we were in person in the physical convention, then they would come back together and tell us what they came up with for their area. And then we would at the end decide on what would be the national agenda for the whole rest of the year until we meet again the next year. So that's what happened last year. And so this is the repeat of what we did last year, but we gotta kind of talk about, in this case, with you guys who didn't participate, what are y'all thoughts on that? But before we do that now, we can go through introductions. So Eric, if you don't mind, do your introduction, man, and what you do, your organization as well.
Eric Wilkins, gender pronouns he and his. I'm a organizer in Roseland for the organization called Communities United. I also am a part of an organization called Broken Wings, which is a support group for victims of gun violence. So we play all wheelchair sports. I do the pit group at Christ. The spinal cord pit group at Christ, and we really just support the families, and I'm more of a life coach for people with disabilities. I got shot and paralyzed, but I'm up. We just challenge the youth to change and to show them how these guns hurt survivors. And I also monitor the police through the consent decree. I wanted to see you planners for the Chicago consent decree, which is the federally enforced agreement between the city of Chicago and the CPD. It came after the brutal murder of Laquan McDonald in 2014. It got established in 2019. And now it's not being followed by the CPD, so
yeah,
that's what I do.
Yeah. So Nathan, go ahead, man. Hit us up with who you are. Make sure you put in there the book too, man.
Hello, I'm Nathan Thompson. I am probably best known as the author and publisher of Kings, the true story of Chicago's policy kings and numbers racketeers. My new book is Kings Volume 2. And beyond policy rackets and politics and that kind of thing, I'm also involved in a lot of research that involves slave reparations as it relates directly to the origin of what we call the transatlantic slave trade. It's a lot deeper and a lot more detailed than has been publicly discussed, and probably more than has been privately discussed. This is not a knock against any of the efforts that are going on nationwide that involve slave reparations, and I have followed many of them. And I applaud the people that are putting in that work,
Right.
because more attention needs to be brought to the subject. However, the absolute pinnacle or point of origin of all of this has yet to be openly discussed. And let me just say that I understand, because it is extremely, extremely sensitive. And I can't emphasize extremely sensitive enough. So I do get it. But if we are going to actually have some real truth about all of that, that part of the subject will eventually and ultimately have to be discussed sooner than later, particularly in light of the things that are coming at us. And when I'm saying us, I'm not even just talking about Black folks. I'm talking about humanity as we stand at the threshold of what's coming at us by way of artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to call that a life changer is just a complete understatement. There's so many things going on with that people are not even ready to accept yet, but they're happening. And we're not talking about years away. We're talking about months away. Understand that.
And my thinking, Nate, because I know how deep you can go, and whenever something is going to affect all of us, I feel a little bit better than when something is just messing with Black folks. And the reason I say that is because we've proven over time to weather whatever storm they threw at us.
We survive. That's what we do.
So if it's gonna get everybody, I put my money on our community, man. We tend to find a way, and we got some serious work to do on our own. And believe it or not, you know, I respect you dearly. I know how much time you put in streets of Chicago. Eric, brother, the same way. These are two powerful brothers in the toughest city in America to organize, which is Chi-Town. So the fact that y'all on here is an honor, and I want to pick y'all brains while I have you on the phone. On the Zoom here. So let's get to the impact, because a lot of people hear about Chicago. So we know the violence is real. We got Eric on here as a living witness. But Eric, based on what you've seen, man, as you moved around the country, rank Chicago in terms of the toughness or the violence or the response to violence. What's your thoughts when it comes to Chi-Town compared to anywhere else you've been?
The difference between us and everybody else, man, we hold each other accountable for the words that come out of our mouth. And we tend to lean to the negativity, meaning if we say we're going to do it, we do it. You know, where be it anywhere else, if they say it, you know, they might not do it. But we the home of the gangster. You know, you got Al Capone, Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, you know, so that's why we tend to try not to go into the negativity, because if we say we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it. And the raps have went sideways, where it's no longer a balance inside the music, and it's all negative, and we doing it. Bottom line.
You know, record companies have everything to do with that. When you go back to the origin of how that started, they have everything to do with it. I mean, I can cite a number of cases locally. I can bring up Chief Keef and quite a few guys. That is something, and I feel you on that, brother.
We went out to Clear Channel. We went out to Clear Channel years ago, man, and they not being held accountable for anything. You know, in the 90s.
Before Clear Channel got in the mix, and let's be clear who we're talking about. We're talking about the Mays family.
Hey, Nathan, you got something over your microphone? You sound muffled.
That's probably just how I sound when I get up in the morning, brother.
No, it's going in and out, so that ain't it, but go ahead, bro.
Oh, okay. I got a lot of electronics going on too, so it's no telling what's going on. But, you know, we talk about Clear Channel. Okay, let's start with who they are. Clear Channel starts with the Mays family, some good old boys from down in Texas, personal friends of the Bush family. Clear Channel, rather, the Mays boys, their father, and I think it's three sons. I have to double check that. But let me tell you something. Those guys did not come up in radio. It's important to understand this. Those guys came up in money, period. The only thing that matters is numbers. They were, among the businesses that they were involved in was used car sales. Now, they were doing that for years and years, and they were very successful at it. They made tons of money. Now, in the vein of business and making money, one way or another, they bought a radio station from some guy. And long story short there, the system of programming music took a backseat, and it became purely about numbers for these guys, nothing else. So the significance here is that Black music is marginalized. Advertising, in terms of Black advertising, all that, everything across the board is marginalized. So that removes the cultural element. That became replicated across the country. So these guys moved from one single radio station to ultimately more than 3,500 radio stations across the country.
You being nice though.
Yeah, I'm being very nice.
Yeah,
right?
Because I think you could go deeper than that. We know this whole thing is structural and systemic racism, and they are part of that. How do you control and manipulate Black people? Yeah.
The general public never knew any of that stuff at the time. And most of the general public is still largely, largely doesn't know that part of the history. And it's important to understand that because, so I forget which one of you mentioned earlier, a very important point, and that is the lyrical content of our music. Listen, man, that is more serious and has a lot more to do with this than people realize. Okay, I'm 63. My generation has come from ain't no stopping us now, love your brother, to nigga, I will fucking kill you. White radio station programmers, white record company executives are the ones who established that. So you, the up and coming artist with all of your conscious rap, can't get in the door, such was the case of Chief Keef, until you go gangster and smut. You want to get played on our networks, this is what you have to do to get that cheese, baby boy.
Now let me throw some names out there, Nate.
Come
David Geffen, $7.7 billion man. He got Mary J. Blige signed under Geffen Records. Lucian's Greens, Netherlands. You got the doggone iHeartRadio, Thomas Lee.
Come on.
All these people, Hollywood, Ari Emanuel, Endeavor.
That is a cabal. Or Jimmy Iovine, okay? All of that is a cabal. Let me throw something at you. Everybody is familiar with the infamous East Coast, West Coast rap beef. Let me tell you something. The brothers who were involved in that had no fucking clue about what was actually happening to them. They were too young to understand it. And we got what we got. My generation, unfortunately, slept through it when it was all happening. But when I went back and started researching everything, and let me tell you why, I was still asleep on the whole thing until the day Mattel bought Death Row Records. I hit the pause button on everything I was doing. I had to research that to find out why in the hell would America's premier toy company for children want with America's premier gangster rap music label. So I've been digging deep, man, and the stuff that I came up with is completely frightening, man. But all those guys from Dr. Dre, Snoop, all of them on down. When that shit was happening in real time, not one of them actually knew what the hell was going on, man. They had no idea.
But Nate, that's how they get us and manipulate us, is by us not even knowing we pawns in the game.
Not even knowing. And it's hard to communicate that to your people when they just dancing and bobbing their heads and trying to get their groove on. Okay, look here. Let me tell you something. You're going to get a major reality check, kind of slightly switching gears here, but I'm making the same point. You're going to get a reality check when Hulu drops that documentary film about Freaknik. See, the same thing was going on. They were all partying it up, dancing on top of cars, half naked, screwing all over town. Nobody thought about the consequences of what they were doing. Now, fast forward. half of those people who are involved are panicking big time because this film is about to drop and it's going to be a life changer for them.
I think
But
the key though.
let me tie this up though. The overall point that I'm trying to make is that all of these things that have gone on in our timeline, this is what happens when we allow our people to go across the street to get what they need. In other words, here's an up and coming young rap artist. We are the ones that should be embracing that person and helping him to shape his message. And that includes all the financing that it takes. But that's not what we do. We encourage him in every other direction. Not realizing and understanding the burning desire in that kid's heart. Ultimately, he's gonna go across the street. And when he does, or she does, you already know what's gonna happen to them. And when it does, we have ourselves to blame for that. We allowed the Chief Keefs to get sucked into that cabal, man. That has to stop, and that's something that has to happen on our end. We have to finance our people.
Big time. But and that's why you hear me always harping on the idea that we're the largest racial group in this country. Literally 46 million. The Germans are the next largest, 43 million. So we got 3 million more than the next largest group. Yeah, and when we pull $1 together, you're talking about almost $50 million with 4 quarters that will finance whatever we need to do for Black Americans. So I'm gonna stay on that.
Well, you said it a while back that people are sleeping on this concept, man.
But you know, it takes time. We can't never give up on it because it's too simple. It's too simple. You know, sometimes stuff go right over your head. So but we know we can afford that. Like, you know what I mean? So that ain't going nowhere. And the key here, what I wanted everyone to get right away was to know how deep you guys are when it comes to the shooting and killing. Now, my thoughts, New York City, of course, is unique, but New York City is on the East Coast. LA is on the West Coast. Just like our bodies, the core matters. Chicago is in the middle. So the middle matters from your strength.
The thing is, every one of those cities that you name have a population that came from other cities. You know, we talked about, Eric mentioned Al Capone. Al Capone came from New York, all right? All these people are coming from different places. But listen, this whole thing about this violence, man, again, all of this as a start point, and a lot of this stuff I've been banging the drum about from the very beginning. Listen, all of this shit with violence, the gun violence, all of this, these are things that we as Black boys and Black men adopted from white boys and from white men. White boys and white men invented drive-by shooting. We did not invent that shit. We just adapted that shit. And we didn't willfully adapt it. Most of this shit has been strategically forced upon us.
Okay? It was a response. We had to respond, right?
Back in the day. That needs to be realized, and that's the historical context that needs to be brought to light. So from the gangster aspect, you got brothers like Lance out there doing this thing and quite a few other cats. You know, but more of this has to be discussed. More of this has to be brought in our homes, to our tables on Sunday morning, on holidays, all of that. We have to replace all of those things that have made it normal with our own thing. And we have to do it unapologetically, man.
But I do think the key though, and we got to recognize, I really believe that the middle matters in Chicago, how we go, the rest of the country go, because you think about it. New York, we so-called got here on the East Coast, so they was the first part, then we migrated, west of them. But the key, when you think about the street tribes, you're not finding no other street tribes in the middle in Chicago. We're gonna find others elsewhere, but not in Chicago is anchored because of that core.
It's all but listen, man. You know, we lost Brown a while back, and he had developed Amir I Can, and Brother Kubler was the Chicago head of that. And quite a few years ago, he gave me a phone call and said, "Nate, you know what, man? We got to get these rules back out here on these streets." Eric, I know you understand that.
Oh yeah. I mess with that. I mess with Kubla real hard, man. I stay focused. He's one of my elders.
When we talk about putting these rules back on the street, I know you understand what that means. Once upon a time.
Oh yeah, we got to stand on it.
Once upon a time, there were rules among street gangs. Somewhere along the way, like a lot of the political things and educational things, a lot of those things got obliterated. And it was done very strategically.
But I do think decentralization was coming no matter what. Like things weren't command and control. it's all about now doing my own thing and being able to express yourself and be who. That's part of the problem we got now. But it happened across all sectors, even in corporate America. They decentralized, but we weren't. Yeah, but we weren't, just like when they tore the high rises down, we should have been better organized on the block to receive our brothers coming out the high rise. So we just got to tighten that up.
Let's go back before that. Let's go back before that. Once upon a time in our history, Black Americans voted predominantly Republican.
Big time.
Then came 1931, 1932, 1933, when we flipped the script and went Democrat. That happened because of the policy changes. Now let's fast forward from 1933 up to 1950. By that time, the game is changing again. We're still Democrats, but shit is hitting the fan with us economically as it relates to the policy rackets and as it relates to education. Now, here's what happened. In that moment, and let's say between 1950 and 1955, 1955 being significant when Mayor Richard J. Daley takes office as mayor of Chicago. That is the window that Black folks, particularly in this city, were supposed to stop and reevaluate our timeline up to that point. Should we continue with the Democrat? Should we go back to the Republican Party? Or should we start our own? That is what should have happened. That is what did not happen. We kept going with what we had and we got what we got.
Now, but right there though, Nate, think about the 1950s, right? We was what, 30 years into the Divine Nine, into all the sororities. So we was feeling good about our direction, not watching how we need to be able to pivot, like you just said. So we was feeling good. We wanted to move with the other people and integrate, right?
That has been one of our major Achilles heels. We become very complacent, very easy, very fast. Then shit starts hitting the fan. Now we want to go crying. Now we want to go, pick it in and call it on Jesse and Al and all of this business. See, that's our fault. We get too damn complacent. That's on us.
Right.
We keep, regardless of the history that has been perpetrated on us for the last 600 years, we still act like something new gonna happen tomorrow. That's on us, man.
Well, I'm one of them people. I do think some new stuff gonna happen. I really believe that.
The new changes that we implement unapologetically, and the only way to do that is to divorce ourselves from the things we have become spoiled with, man. A while back, you all remember when Kanye started mouthing off and it got him in all of this trouble. All right, listen. First of all, everything that he said was true. But the problem is that everything he said was very, very old. So my question to Kanye is, when did you get your clue, man? After you made your first million, after you made your first 10 million, after you made your first 100 million? The point is, he kept signing contracts. After you realize, why do you keep signing these contracts and then start snapping the fuck off about it?
The Bible says, if you're trying to put child in the way it should go, when he is old, he will not depart from it. He was taught better. We did a movie called Business as Usual, the exploitation of hip hop with Dr. Cornel West, and he was chasing Jay-Z. Jay-Z had the baddest black girl. He wanted the baddest white girl, and he realized once he started having them kids on how he was raised that his upbringing and her upbringing was totally different, and he wanted to love his daughters and raise them the right way. And that's when the conflict kicked in, because they raising his daughters up to be little hoochies, and he wasn't going.
Yeah,
and that's what it broke, because it had to go personal. Once it come, same thing with me when I got shot. It's sad to say it takes something for us to hit, because we think we too cool. It ain't gonna happen to me. It ain't gonna happen to me. But once it happen to you and your blindness come off, you're like, boom.
Right.
And I'm totally agreeing with him, because SmackDown in the movie, he say, Jay tell us what to do, Jay tell us what to wear. Image is everything. Black folks, we judgmental. I judge you what clothes you got on if I'm gonna listen to you.
Yep, that's man. Yes, that's real right there, man. We got all of these things on in our heads, man, and we didn't put them there.
Now watch this though.
Exactly. So okay.
But like
All
you
right.
just said, we all and the way I see Nate. So Nate, you just told me I didn't know you was in your 60s like that. But we got to make sure we got the three groups: our retirees, our adults, our people in their prime, and the young folks. Because
That's
them
our
three different
continuity.
mindsets.
That's exactly right. That is our continuity. That's exactly
Right.
right.
But them three different mindsets too. So what you've been through 60 years, I ain't been through, I ain't been around that long. So you gonna have a certain history in your head. I'm 48, you know what I mean? So I got a certain history in my head. So the key is how do we integrate those thought processes? And Brother Nate, you on the what I call enforcement side. So you ain't taking no shit. You ain't gonna be too patient with people. It's like, let's go.
Well,
We
I
need
don't do
that.
a whole lot of politically correct. All right. I have my
Right. We
moments,
need that.
all
Right. But
I
then
have my moments.
but we got the other side too, who people who are like virgins, they vulnerable, and that'll turn them and run away. Oh no, Nate too tough. I ain't messing with him. No, we need you. We need you.
Yeah.
We just keep you
No,
away
I,
from Nate.
And
We
listen,
just
and
keep
that
you away
happens
from
too,
Nate.
believe
That's
me.
all.
That's why I only deal with certain people because that happens.
Well,
You know?
So and
and,
then
and
with Eric,
that's where I come in at. I bridge the gaps, man.
there
You know,
you go.
I'm humble. I push
There you
love,
go.
so I can sit with Nate. Then I can turn around and sit with you short. I can sit in the room and keep the balance in it. All it is balance, man, because we so
Yeah.
passionate. And
Right.
sometimes our passion can force us into a rage. And that's what they count on. They count on our passion to force us in a rage to kick us out the room.
That's right.
We'll be,
And
well, you
going
too
on.
violent. Get out.
That's right. There's a lot
And
going on.
And the other piece to it though, and this where like with you, Eric, we gotta have, because we up against structures and systems. These two different things attacking black people. And
That's
and
right.
the block by block is the structure. Like it don't get
Most
no more
black
structure.
people are oblivious to it. Most black people are oblivious to it, man,
And-
because we are complacent.
but that's cool though, because most people are oblivious to life. They just walk around trading time for money.
That's true, but it's different for us. It's a lot
But
different.
not as long as we get ourselves together, we can lead our people who just want to party and have a good time. But we party and having a good time
We have
strategically.
to do it by example. One of the
Mhm.
things that I've been talking about, you all are familiar with this Walmart situation. All right, and it started with the Target situation a few years back. My message has been the same. Stop crying, stop whining, pool your financial resources, buy that damn building and sell that damn shit yourself. All right? If I can buy a hammer and a DVD and a pair of jeans from Walmart, God damn it, I can buy it from you. This is the direction that we need to be going in, man. Buy these properties and do the shit ourselves, man. But again, we have become complacent, man. You know, we want everybody else to do everything for us. And this is why the world is stacking up against us. One of the reasons, man, you know, that has to stop. You know, do for self. The idea for that has never been more important than it is right now, man. Okay, I done lost both of y'all. What's happening? Or are the forces at work against us?
My fault. I had to talk with some of the guys. We got a couple of events going on right now, getting started.
Yeah. So the key though, we know what we up against. The question is how we move forward. And I really believe our black men that we ain't going nowhere unless we get that thing worked out. But I do think it's gonna be a phased approach. It ain't gonna be everyone at the same time. And I think the money matters, because whatever we do, if it's not self-financed, when the oppressors hear about it, they go cut the funding.
You know, but you know what though? You have already listened. The thing that you're doing actually really plays into this, man, because it's foundational. You have developed this entire grid system. Essentially, what you have done is develop an entire grid system. And when I hit you up the other day about that story about that defense contractor that owns the Ventura card system, think about the pennies. Every time you walk through that turnstile and swipe your card to get on the train or, you know, tap yourself on the bus or whatever.
Big
Think
time.
about the pennies that's coming off of that and are being routed to create and distribute weapons of mass destruction, war, tanks, missiles, or whatever, But the point is, look at what Pennies is doing for this one organization. And guess what?
Remember Todd Stroger? Remember I told you
those pennies are ours, man.
right. Remember Todd Stroger? He lost his job. Remember over the penny tax that Tony Preckwinkle came in and still implemented.
And listen, and people to this day don't get that wasn't a damn Tony Preckwinkle thing. That was something that came out of the National Conference of County Board Presidents.
Always, right? Always, so I get that.
He was doing it. Other cities, okay, but part of what the media does nationally is keep shit compartmentalized locally, so you don't get a sense of how large the issue is on a national level. So most of us tend to go around these blinders thinking, well, this is just Chicago and it's a Tony Preckwinkle thing. No, this was a nationwide thing. People get hip to that.
Big time. No. Yes, indeed. And technically, it's global. This shit is all this stuff.
For that matter, yes, it's global because the cabal itself is global.
Yep. No, I got you. I always
check it out. We talk about the transatlantic slave trade. There was no transatlantic slave trade. There was a global slave trade. I lost both of y'all again. Now, what happened?
Now I got the picture up there. We go because this is where we headed right here.
The slave trade was global. The Atlantic Ocean was one of the waterways used, like virtually every other waterway, to transport human cargo to where they were going, not just the America. But again, we have had that narrow focus. That may not have, that may not have been an accident. You niggas keep focused over there. Forget about what's going on over here. This is how you don't get a sense of the larger context.
See, Eric and I was just
listen. The slave trade. This is for my reparations people. The slave trade began in the Vatican.
Yep.
The Pope and the Henry, the king of the Portuguese king at that time. King the eighth, I think. That's where it began. On that side of it, and when I say that side of it, I'm talking about Christianity. I'm not talking about the Islamic side of it yet. That tends to be even more sensitive for our people. But this thing began in the church. So you want accurate, true slave reparations, going after insurance companies and bankers and all of that. Okay, that's fine. But those people were subcontractors. They were hired hands. They were the help. It began in the church. Take it to the Vatican, because that's where it started at. Demand an audience with Pope Francis, because that's where it started at. Papal bulls were issued supporting and authorizing the enslavement of Africans. Now, any person modern day who's been involved in this struggle has bothered to mention that, if they know that at all.
But because you went, and that's what I think, when you eat an elephant, you got to make it in bite-sized chunks. You can't do too much. And so what you just said is so big that it'll cause people to say, well, I'm just in a party. That's too much. It's too much.
But it is what it is. And let me tell you.
No, I get that, but everybody don't need to know the whole thing is the point. Like, you know what I mean? It's chunks. You can handle this chunk, you can handle this chunk, but not, the whole thing, because it could be daunting. That's all.
Yeah, we call that levels. There's levels to it. You gotta
levels.
Certain people can't hold them conversations. You gotta put third graders with the third graders, man. That's how you keep them engaged and keep them slow. Because Nate,
but that's why Nate said he know it's a certain time when you invite Nate in, because he gonna go straight for the gusto, and that that's good. We got like Mark Carter, he gonna go hard too. So we just got, like you said, it's levels, and we got to know at each level what to do. But here's level one, no matter what. Every freaking block has Michael Jordans on it, and we got to do the inventory. We got to know on every doggone block who the retired carpenter is, the retired teacher, who's that 13-year-old, who's that fifth grader that need help. That ain't nowhere around. I don't care how much artificial intelligence is out there. This is the work that gotta get done block by block. Ain't nowhere around it, y'all.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But listen, it needs to happen at a much faster pace, because even the people who created artificial intelligence are now publicly speaking out, and they are acknowledging publicly that they fucked
uncontrollable.
Their words, not mine. Their words, not mine. They
Yep.
fully acknowledge they fucked up.
Yeah, and it was bound to do that though, Nate, because think about the spirit of those type of people. It's always about control. It's always about, you know what I mean, being insecure. So you always going after more and more and more. That's the insecurity. So it was bound for them to keep going, pressing that needle that way, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, this cabal operates on that very fuel. Your fears, everything. That's what it operates on, you know? And very often it is realized that the public is so much in fear, they can't think straight.
So look, y'all, we only got 10 minutes left, and I want to get this from y'all real quick so I can at least have this part done. So when we talk about men being in abusive relationships, is that a farce? Do y'all know any men that's been in abusive relationships with their spouses, i.e. women?
Most men, whether they are in it or not, most men are, whether they realize it or not. So that's not to say all men, but
so women are beating men. That's what you're saying, Eric. Women, I mean,
that's Nate.
I'm not talking about so much the physical side of it, because the verbal and the mental side of it can be worse than the physical side sometimes.
Okay.
And have found themselves in position these days where a lot of these things that women have come to believe, man, is just beyond the scope of all reasoning. But they believe a lot of these things, and it is causing all this friction. And it's literally gotten to the point where a lot of brothers have just said, fuck it. And you've heard about the passport brothers, you know, and all this kind of business. You know, these are new terms for old concepts. The bottom line is brothers are not getting it here, and they're going elsewhere to get it. Yeah. And the women age, and then when they get of age, then they figure out the game that was played. Now all of a sudden you want a good man now. Well, it's too late. You done ran all of us off now.
But when you said the women, can you break the women into the ones born before after the 1960s, though? Like, break it down, because I do think it's a different mindset with the decades.
It's a mindset, because the women of my generation have the same things to say that the men of my generation have to say about the younger women. But let me tell you something that I heard a sister say recently on YouTube. This sister, I'm gonna say she's probably about in her maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. They were having this big group discussion. It was about 7 or 8 of them, half women, half guys. And they were talking about this subject. And this sister pointed out something very profound. She said, from what she has witnessed, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but she said, from what she had witnessed, the problem for her is that when an older man looks at a younger man, he sees himself in that young man. But the problem with the older women is that when the older woman looks at the younger woman, she sees herself as the younger woman. So she's still caught up in a head game, still convincing herself about things, right?
That's deep.
That really shouldn't be. And that's causing the younger girls,
to compete.
It's crap. So
it's competition.
So that's a big part of the problem, why they're believing the crap that they believe. Another part of the problem, what I've been witnessing and hearing and studying, there are terms and terminology that have been brought into our relationship area that absolutely have no business there. Alpha male, sigma, simp, all this kind of stuff. That kind of language has no business in your personal relationship between your man and your woman. That's got a lot to do with why these younger girls are believing the things that they believe. It is just totally off the chain. And again, we can bring all of this back to New York, Madison Avenue, and Hollywood, because that's part of the programming apparatus that creates this. Girls turn on the TV, there's a visual impact. You turn on your music stations or put in your music, your streaming or whatever. There's impacts to this. It's programming. This is causing all of this. And it's a gumbo. And it's been going on for generations now. And this is why it's deep. Listen, we talk about these teenagers that went wild and out downtown and went wild and out in Naperville, and all this is going on. And it's going on across the country. It's not just Chicago. All right, understand that. But I mentioned the Freaknik era earlier. Okay, One era I left out, the starter jackets, baseball caps, and sneakers.
Michael Jordan shoes. Yep.
The teenagers that are wreaking havoc today are the children and grandchildren of the freak knickers and of the starter jacket generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
their mouths are sealed shut because these kids got that behavior from them. That has to be talked about.
Now, also though, Nate, because I just was looking at
South
South Africa.
Violence that you're talking about, and it's a major contributing factor.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you have women, girls snapping off on boys like has never happened before. I see more violence among girls and women. I mean, the fights that I see breaking out in Walmart, half of the stuff I see on World, I mean, girls have gone, but
that's because that's all they see and that's all they hear, man. Have you listened to these female rappers?
Believe that that's acceptable. And that's causing conflict at home in our community because it's
they don't know who they are. You know, they wanna be like everybody else. Right. They wanna get the fake hair, the nails. They doing the implants now, getting the bigger butt.
These eyelashes are man, my God, these fucking eyelashes.
So they going for surgeries now, man, to make their booties bigger and all the other stuff. That's low self-esteem, you know. If we don't validate them, you know, and that validation is a big part of everything.
Look, I mean,
that's the purpose of it.
Nakedness is over it's through the roof now. I mean, they're all running around out here, damn near.
But what do y'all think about this? Because I think this is the key for the future for us. One thing Black people don't play at all, we'll die for this, is disrespect. Don't embarrass me. I'd rather die than be embarrassed publicly.
It's out of control.
So what we gotta do, we gotta show how the white community, not all, but the ones in power is laughing at you when you wear Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, and all this here. And it's made ideally from the concepts of Africans, but they colonized that and use it. Now you buying it, paying for something that costs peanuts. We got to show how the music, they laughing at us. You can talk about killing your brother, but don't talk about killing that religious community. Don't talk about killing them dogs that mean more important than you. So if we start showing, and the women, if they show how they laughing at you, you talking about doing all this stuff, but our people are married. You're not even married. So if you start exposing and making us look embarrassed, a lot of that's gonna be like, they'll be riding right now, they Mercedes-Benz, and then when they start laughing, like Black people buy more Mercedes-Benz than anybody else, and the cars being made in Europe, not in Africa, that can start to make people start shying away from that. Like, we got to create a disdain for all this European stuff that we think we proud, like we made it when we got European stuff. No, they laughing at you, Black people. What do y'all think about that?
I agree, but at the same time, we live in a world where image is everything. And without that Mercedes, the younger people ain't gonna listen to you. You ain't got that Dolce & Gabbana on, they ain't gonna listen to you. They gonna say you a hater. You hate
the power of Madison Avenue in Hollywood. And let me tell you where else is going on that is far more prevalent than is getting a lot of attention or under consideration. A few years back, and Si, you might recall, I was trying to get this thing off the ground called Who's Cooking for You? Understand something. You have 9 Black restaurateurs open till 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, man. And we're struggling to find Black restaurants, much less the ones that actually they have found a way to infiltrate that. Right? You go into one of these places, you get the free fries and the free pop. All right. And they are trucking lots of money out of here every single day. All right, once upon a time, that would not be happening, and we celebrate with cooks in our restaurant. We have to get back to that, man. We have to get back to that. So part of your efforts has to include a sit down with Black restaurateurs to figure out how to bring that part of our revenue stream back to the Black community, man. Because the Koreans are driving it out of here, the Chinese are driving it out of here. I mean, listen, man, that's got to stop.
Yeah.
You go down the business corridors. You struggle trying to find a Black business in the corridor of the Black community.
Yeah.
All right. So,
the good news, like you said.
How do we fix some of this? As it relates to Chicago, we have a brand new mayor who is receptive to a lot of these things. There's a sit down between that mayor and you, Si, waiting to happen. He's already receptive about affecting the school curriculum. That is a major place it has to happen at, and it's something that we are literally going to have to shove down the system's throat unapologetically. All right. We're tired of being taught the bullshit about Christopher Columbus. All right. It's time to start teaching the truth about Nzinga and other Africans. All right. To hell with that. We're not asking. We are telling you what we are doing.
So look, we got 2 minutes. Let me get Eric closing thoughts, man. Then we're gonna end it with you, Nate. Eric, well, give our people, man, your closing thoughts on where we at as Black men.
I think we have to be more supportive of each other. You know, that's the bottom line. They want all the boys to be girls and the girls to be boys. We have to show that there's some strong Black men, unapologetic, that's able to stand and grab our motherfucking nuts. We got to grab our nuts and stand the fuck up. And that's all I'm on, man. That's why my job is to just nurture the relationships of other people. Too many people want to be the head. I ain't the head. If you the head of that, man, I'm gonna follow you, because it's rules and putting everybody in their lane and just hold them accountable. Because if you ain't gonna do it, you know, it got to be some repercussions. We lie to each other too much, and ain't no repercussions for that firm handshake. And that's what we got to go back to, and that's what I stand on. And that's why I'm able to do the things I do, because I turn it over to resources. I say, well, he said he gonna do it. I hold myself accountable, Nate, for every word to come out of my mouth. And we got to go back to the basics, or our kids and our sons don't stand a chance. And we got to have our sons with us. I take my boys there with.
Right.
If my boys can't go, I don't want to be there. I want them to know everybody. You know, we raised our kids separate, and we put them in that doggone game to be against each other. Oh, I got mine together, and they broke the village. Yo, we got to go back to that village. 105th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, Indiana and Earbrook. I got this area sold up, and I'm steady working at it, and I'm holding people accountable because we able to talk. Communication is everything, and we got to slow down as Black people. We have to slow down and to communicate. This rush of the world is designed for us to fail. If I ain't got
hamster wheel,
I don't know anybody's numbers no more. I used to pride myself on how many people numbers I knew.
Yeah.
You know, and it's making us lazy. We lazy. We went for the handout. They gave us that handout, and we sat on our ass, and now we're looking at the migrants doing all the stuff that we used to do so willingly.
How people reach you, Eric? How do people reach you, my brother?
Sure, you can call me on the cell, or you can just follow my work. All my work at the forefront of the city. So now with the consent decree and the police accountability, I got the police where I can get the police off your ass. Now let's stand up, man. Ain't gonna be no more of that abusive like that. My brother went down doing the John Burge era. He did 25 years, and then they let him go like I bad. No, ain't gonna be no more of that. And we gotta stand for it. We gotta be willing to die for it, man.
Well, we dying anyway, so why not die for something?
Yeah, if I catch your hand in that, the biggest thing, Paul Ballas showed me how everybody is, because I seen everybody who grabbed his money, took his money to ship our kids straight to prison.
We gotta wrap it, man. So Nate, go ahead and close us out, man.
I'm gonna close it out on that point that he just talked about the elected officials. All right. You all know we have an election coming up next year, 2024. Part of that election is also and it includes the position of board committeeman. This is important. Once upon a time, there were two different people in the ward. There was the alderman and there was the committee. Somewhere along the way, some rules and shit got flushed down the toilet, and those people started doubling in both posts. You had the person who was the alderman was also the committee. That's been going on for a very, very long time now. One of the keys to getting back to some kind of normalcy for us, shit has to be broken up immediately starting next year. Do not elect do not allow any ward alderman
City councilman, right?
also
Got you. That-
double to get the committeeman people. Okay,
I
we
got
need more checks and balances. Make
Big
sure
time.
that the person who is running for committeeman in that ward
Controls the precinct.
alderman that is also trying to get that post. Do not let that shit happen. Break that shit.
That's doable, my brother. How people reach you, Nate?
Hit me on Facebook and hit me on Facebook Messenger.
Man, I thank y'all for taking time out, y'all. I salute y'all. We gonna stay connected because we got work to do afterwards, y'all.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, thanks for the invite, even though it was late, man. Thanks.
I know.